Okay. Oh. Something fell over on the shelf. That's okay. Right. Just getting everything set up. Okay. Right. That's that set. Okay. Hello. Welcome. This is the latest live stream in this month's data challenge. This will be the third video in the series, the third live stream. Very quick recap of what this is and what you're watching if you're watching. So this month I'm doing a little experiment along the lines of the book Tiny Experiments, which is just commit to a series of things, some sort of action, some number of times within a time frame. It's a very loose framework, but it's pretty cool because it's good for trying out new things without overcommitting to something. And this one is a little data challenge. I thought I would set it for the community. You can join a Discord server that I run where I post about this. You should post about it on LinkedIn, and I should probably post about it on Blue Sky as well. It's just an experiment at this stage, but I've always thought the best way to learn is to do stuff, like do projects. And I thought if I set one for the community and anybody can take part and do these, try and answer the same questions as me, then we can kind of all learn from each other. And it also forces me a little bit to get into the habit of doing this kind of thing a bit more. So if I've got it right in OBS, I can just click a button. There we go. So the problem, or the project idea, is to look at films that were based on books, find the reviews for both the film and the book, and see if there are examples where the film was better than the book, according to, average reviews or something. Because people always say, often a film that's based on a book is not as good as the book itself, but I figured there must be cases where that's not the case. There must be cases where people generally enjoyed the film more than the book. And so the project is about connecting up books and films to each other that are, the same piece of work, or, the film is based on the book, joining the review data and then figuring out, what the patterns are and seeing if there's cases where the film is indeed rated better than the source material. This is the third stream, so I'm something like 2.5 hours into this project, and I've got about an hour today to continue working on it. So the first time I managed to get the data that is based on a Wikipedia page, which is list of fiction works made into feature films, connected up all of those pages and dumped them into a data set. So it has, the book, the film, and then I separated out columns. So, who the author is, when the book was published, when the film was published, and then the title of the book and the title of the film, which may or may not be the same as each other. As we saw, there are cases where they are the same, and there's cases where they're quite different. So that was fine. And then last time what I was trying to do is look at the Goodreads review data, or I don't actually know where it comes from, book review data and film review data, and join them to this data set. And the problem, which I knew I was going to encounter, but it was actually pretty bad, is that obviously the book titles in the review data don't necessarily match the book titles in this Wikipedia article as it's linked to the reviews, and the same with the films. So I was trying a bunch of things last time to join this is the source data. So join these book titles to the titles in the book ratings data, and that was reasonably successful. So there was a 31% match on just name, title and date is 25, and then title and author is only 19%. So not great, really. And then I figured, well, maybe we should do it on a fuzzy match, so the book title doesn't have to be exactly the same in the two data sets, maybe one or two characters can be different, but the distance metric I used, and I'm going through this mostly partly for the video, but also partly to remind myself what I was doing. One of the problems was if you have two book titles that are only a couple of characters out, they could still be a completely different title. So I was using this edit distance, which is how many characters you need to change in one title to get to the other. And obviously if that's small enough, then we can assume they're the same title. This didn't work because it was things like this, like the film was called 69, but then the closest book match, the book was called 69, the closest book match was It. I think it's 2 characters, which is what I said is the limit. So I think I said max distance is 3 characters, and even that was too much. The problem was, for something like the ABC Murders, which has dots between the letters, and then the book title in another data set that's the same title but without the dots, those are the same title, so they're an edit distance of 3 apart, right? But so that worked in that instance, but here these two are only an edit distance of 2 apart, which is not good. So I don't think this is the right distance metric to use. So one idea was to try a different distance metric, so some other way of comparing this title and this title and calculating a similarity score. Maybe it's just how many characters match, but again, it has to be based on position, not just generally are they the same letters, because they could be the same letters in a different order, like this one, like A-lita and Lolita, but very different works. But will be matched because they're only 2 characters different. So that's one direction I could take it, is think about different distance measures or different similarity measures, which is certainly one idea. The other idea was to join the film data. But the other problem was, okay, so I think I just sort of said the fuzzy matching is a no-go. Let's just go for exact matches. And then the films, I kind of did the same thing. So yeah, film's called 69, closest match was a film called 1. So that, again, that's not useful. So fuzzy matching, I just said let's abandon that for now and just merge only on title in both instances. The problem there was that there's a few books and films that have the same title as each other but are not the same thing. So there's another problem. And then for some reason, I haven't investigated it fully. It's probably because of different films. No, but there were exact duplicates as well. Oh, this already removed the exact duplicates. So for some reason, there's also, once you join everything up, there's exact duplicates, presumably because, for example, the book Carrie has like 3 different film adaptations, but the film ratings data didn't have any more information apart from the title, so I don't even know which of the film adaptations this is a rating for. So that's also a problem. So really, last time all I did was uncover a bunch of problems, which is not great. So I'm thinking we need film review data that also has the film date, because this is based on Rotten Tomatoes ratings. I think it was this one, and it was like 1 row per review, but all we had was a name of the movie. There's no like identifier or any other detail. It only had the date of the review, and the problem is the date of the review, it could be a review of a film that was 50 years old at that point. So theoretically this is really good. On a practical level it doesn't quite work. So I think one problem is the fuzzy matching, but for now, if I can just match movies and books to their respective ratings data on name alone and definitely get the right thing, then I might still have a data set that's big enough, because in the end I had something like 30 records out of thousands and thousands of of reviews and linkages and ratings and whatnot. So to have 30 different ones, and some of these are sort of duplicates, wasn't great. So I looked at, where is the film rating higher than the book rating? So we've had 3 examples, but I'm not convinced. There's definitely going to be more in the data than that. So I'm thinking step 1 today, which is what I said at the end of last time, is to find another source of film review data. So that's, I think, where I will start. That's probably going to be called movie reviews. Okay, so IMDb. Let's have a look. 50,000 movie reviews. How old is this data set? 7 years old. That's probably okay. Okay, so it's just review and then positive or negative. Okay, no. That's not it. So I don't need something that is about sentiment analysis, because it's just going to be the review text. Actually, the thing we don't care about is the review text. It is just like average film. Maybe it's something like Metacritic might have. Movies. Oh, here we go. 16,000 plus movies. Average Metacritic score. That would be good. So title and release date. So this might be the right thing. Okay. So what does this have? This has title of the film. There's stuff in there that might have to remove that. Is this supposed to be 1 row per film? Because it's not. Okay. There's not even a rating for some of them. Why are some of them missing ratings? Okay. Okay, probably something to clean up here, but it looks like it has a rating. Oh, okay, well, it's out of 10, which is fine. We can just multiply it. Number of reviews, don't care. Okay, this might be okay, actually. Let's give this one a go. I'm going to have to download it. This might be the right. I'm sure somewhere in the Wikipedia data, like the wiki data that you can download, it has film. The film data has Metacritic score somewhere, but since I got the data just directly from those Wikipedia pages rather than like these pages rather than Wikidata, doesn't quite. I can't quite tap into that same information. Let's have a look. Let's extract. So 16K movies, that's it. Okay. Right, let's, I think I'll just duplicate this notebook and start and create an archive. So that's going in there. I don't want that, and this is the copy. Let's be ambitious. Let's not call it try. Let's just say this one joins the data sets together. Okay. So let's try this. Okay. So because I'm using the same base, so the films to books. Actually, can I clear all outputs? Films to books is unchanged. So this is already clean. I've already uppercased everything. Oh yeah. I've got a explore book and films ratings data. Just archive the previous one. I kind of want an audit trail, but I also don't want the notebooks to end up being too messy. So let's make a, let's put that in the archive. I know I could technically keep it in source control and not keep the archive, but if I want to jump back to them, it would just be a pain having to keep like reverting to an old commit rather than just having the file lying around. So this is fine. Books ratings is unchanged. And let's do, yeah, that's the kernel. What are you doing? Okay. So fine, book rating stays. And then the films one is now this. And it's not Rotten Tomatoes. It is, oh, here we go. Right, 16,000 reviews, bunch of stuff. Okay. Okay, ratings fine. I should check. Right, that's, I don't need that. Oh. Delete that. No, that's not what I want. Because the other one was at individual review level, so I don't need to do that. Normalize. Let's just zoom in a bit for the stream. Rating to 100. Rating. It's just 100, right? No, 100? Why would it be 100 times 10? Oops. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so those are out of 100 now, which is what the book reviews. Yes, average rating normalized. Yeah, it's out of 100. That's good. Okay, so now I need to extract title without extra stuff and release year. What on earth is this? 9.5 hours. Oh, one of these. That'll be like some kind of artsy thing I haven't heard of. Got distracted by that. What am I doing? So title. Let's call it film title. We'll keep all the raw stuff. Not a fan of deleting things too soon. Anything that is re-release with nothing, and then upper, and then strip. And then we also need what's the film one called? Is it just like release year? Oh, I guess I don't have it. Film published date. Let's call it, if I call it the same thing as here, it'll just be a little bit easier to join. So film title and then film equals films release date. Oh no, it's pd.toDateTime. And then this is, actually, can it figure out date? Yes. Okay. Good. I don't have to actually tell it the format, which is nice. And then .dt.year. Let's see. Let's look at the top 10 once we do that. So uppercase, name of the film, and then year. And then we can join on that. Okay. Now I don't need to do any of this other stuff that I did. I can just do film ratings to parquet. Oh, and it's going to overwrite. Yeah, you see. Both of those notebooks are going to write the same file. I don't like that. So this is going to be film Metacritic ratings. Oh, because film ratings was a different thing in the previous notebook, but it isn't anymore. There. Okay. Film Metacritic ratings. That's the one I want to join. Okay, so this notebook is done. There's not a lot to explain. I think this is fine. To be honest, I could have a look at. Actually, it doesn't matter. You know what? I'll leave the rating because if I try and join. Oh, actually, no. I really need things that have a rating. Everything else can be dumped, but really anything that's missing a rating is useless to me. So also. So drop. Yeah, that's better. So drop subset and rating, right? That's fair. Okay. So this one, so I'm taking the, what do I have to do here? Join datasets together. So I did, oh yeah, I deleted all of this stuff. Oh. Oh no, I just set it to null. Okay, I didn't actually drop it. Yeah, fine. Fine. Yeah, that's fine. That's when I was trying to join it on date. Okay, no, that's fine. So that's fine. That's the book ratings data. Based on previous exploration, join only on title. Yep, that's 31, and we'll just delete everything else. I think title and date. Problem with this one was less. It was 25% rather than. Yeah, let's just. I'm just thinking it might. Would that be a problem? Let's leave that for now. This is terrible. Okay. Okay, so this is the 450 from Paddington. There's 2 different films, but the book reviews are the same. Miss Marple number 8. Perfect. Okay, so that's roughly what I need. I'm sure there's problems in here with just doing it on title. We'll probably shed some data at some point. Let's just leave it for now. And then films. Let's try joining on title and release date. So film ratings is now this one. Yeah, it's 12,000 because we dropped some of the nulls. That's good. And then we said oh, this is just test what happens when we I've already said that's what I'm doing. So this is films to books, merged film ratings is merging this on. Actually, let's do both. Because this is a new data set, so it might be okay. Title only, title and release date. Yeah, we need to do both. So first on film title, and then that's this. Is the joined stuff, films merged on title as a percentage of the original. See, there we go, that's 50% joined. That's good. What about adding date to disambiguate between films with the same title? Just call that 2. And then this time it's film title and film published date. And then it's this one on title, date. I think that's right. Oh, where is it? Which is an object? Well, that's an int. What's film published date in the original data? Of course it is. Non-type and string. Oh my gosh. Okay. So there's some nuns, right? Okay. We can't make it. I suppose we could make it integer, but then it has to be one of those the nullable integer types in pandas, or it has to be a float, in which case the other one also has to be a float. Okay, that's fine. Film published date is a bit messy. Take the first 4 characters as the year. Some are things like and convert to float. Okay, that works. Just checking. So publication date is the first 4 strings as type float. Looks good. Let's restart the kernel. Oh yeah, there's a little button. Okay, yeah, let's go down to the thing that we were just about to do, which is this, and then run everything above. Okay, and then this was join just on title, that's fine. And I think we also need to say, is it going to have a problem with ints and floats joining? I don't think so. No. Okay, so film. Okay. Films and dates. It's only 20%. Do we have... Nothing missing there. What about films to books? Okay, there's 50 films with no published dates. That shouldn't account for the differences here. Okay, that is a significant amount. Okay. So merged book ratings is this. Might have a problem, might have a lot of duplicates if we have multiple reviews for a film title that is not the same film each time. Yeah, I just foresee so many problems with this. The fact that we're trying to do all this based on string matching, I think is just is a dead end. is showing Metacritic ratings only on title. Merge book ratings, merge film ratings on film title. Yep, I think that's the same. So we have 1,570 rows. Okay, so About a Boy, Nick Hornby. Okay, there's a lot of data in here. Actually, do we think it didn't match between it was floats and ints? That shouldn't be a... Surely. No, okay. I didn't think that would make a difference, but... Okay, let's go back to this. And the final data was book title. Actually, you know what? I trust my... Oh no, because I can't use the same things from the film data anymore because it's a different data set. So it is book title and author, book published date, average rating normalized, which is book rating. And then I'm going to have to rename rating eventually to average film rating. And it's going to be film title. Film published date. Why do we have... Oh, because I'm joining them and they have the same column name, but I'm not joining on the column name. Okay, that's kind of annoying. Yeah, I know exactly why it's happening, but it's still annoying. And then average film rating, which we don't have, so it has to be rating. I think this will work. 109 titles. Okay, that's still terrible. Why? If we don't drop duplicates, we have 1,570, and then again we have the same problem. Yeah, I reckon. So this is 1,500. Yeah, actually joining on title is really bad because it's like Sherlock Holmes is a great example where there's multiple films where there are multiple films that have the same title, Sherlock Holmes. I mean, look at this is 1916 film, 1922 film, and then there'll be the Robert Downey Jr. ones. What in the world are data trails? It's just a little name I came up with for like an exploration of data, like when you go on a hike and you kind of know where you're going, but you're not exactly sure what route you're going to take. So that's sort of the trail metaphor. So this data set is like a Frankenstein's monster of data from Wikipedia. So there's a bunch of like, thank you. So it's a bunch of like articles on Wikipedia where things have been made into films, like books have been made into films, and they come as these little tables of like book. So it's a book, release date, author, generally that's the pattern, and then what film it was turned into. And I did a bunch of cleaning on it, and I'm trying to then merge ratings data. So like what rating did this book get on like Goodreads or something, and then what rating did this film get on Metacritic, Rotten Tomatoes, something. And I'm trying to find examples where people rated the film higher than the book that it was based on. That's basically what's happening. But it's really messy because if you try and match things on title, it gets confusing, because Sherlock Holmes, the books, have been turned into like tons of films. But if I join reviews only on Sherlock Holmes, that's exactly my problem, that there might be several versions of the movie or even books. That's exactly the problem I'm facing with trying to get the ratings data merged on title alone. I mean, people write books that are completely different books with the same title. There's also just remakes of films. Yeah. So the other thing I was trying to do is I have the release date of both sides. So I have the release date of the book and then the release date of the film in the review data. But for some reason, the problem is the random subset of reviews that I found, like here this Rotten Tomatoes dataset or this other Metacritic one, it's 16,000 films, but it doesn't necessarily have the ones that I have in here. So if I match both on title and date, I get a much, much smaller data set. But for some reason, even only matching on title, which is going to have a bunch of mistakes in there, is still going to have, like, I've filtered all of it down, joined everything up, and it's only 109 records of book, film, and then rating. Oh, tell me about it. This is the worst. I set this as like a little challenge for people if they want to try it as well, and I'm sort of live streaming my own solution this month as a sort of experiment. And yeah, as with many data problems, this is surprisingly difficult. And again, as many things, it's like an entity resolution problem. It's like, how do you know that the thing that is called one thing in this data set is the thing that is in the other one? It's like, for example, this book here, this 1982 book, has been turned into two different films. Now, here it says they have the same rating, but they almost certainly don't. I just joined it on title, and so suddenly I've got the same film rating for two different film versions of the same book. The accent is a hybrid, so it's British to the extent that I've lived in Britain forever now, but I'm originally Hungarian, and I learned English from watching American cartoons, and I also lived in Scotland, so that's a lot of places where where my accent has been sort of buffeted around, and if I'm not concentrating, if I'm just like doing something else, it kind of goes off the rails. Yeah, nice. Yeah, Hungary is very pretty. Yeah, it's nice. I like to go back as a tourist now. I don't live there, so it's nice to go. Yeah, no, I hate London too. I moved out of London after 7 years. I didn't enjoy it at all. It's great if you want to get a job, but it's not great place to live. I know people in London like to complain about people who complain about London, but I'm not. It's not livable from where I'm standing. Yeah, I moved out of London a few years ago. Good decision. I live in the Midlands now, which is much nicer. Yeah, the Midlands is good because you're a couple of hours from most things in the country. Like, you can get from anywhere from the beach to all sorts of museums, all sorts of things. And at the end of the day, it's not a huge country, so a couple of hours drive and you can get to hundreds of cool places, which is nice. I lived in Scotland for 5 years, and if I, I have considered Pebble Beach is still anything. If you have kids, right, especially any beach is a beach. I don't think kids care that much. But yeah, I mean, even like from here, I could probably drive down to Bournemouth in a couple of hours. That's a proper beach, I would say. Weston-super-Mare is probably a couple of hours, maybe a bit more. So, and then probably the other way as well, Kings Lynn, North Norfolk coast, something like that's probably only a couple of hours away. Which is like, that's most of the beaches that the UK has to offer, right? No, not these days. I do a lot of travel in the UK. There's actually quite a lot of nice places. I would like to get to travel more. Okay, let's have a look at this. UK weather, I know. I was just talking to my friend earlier who's moving from the UK to Italy soon. And he said, yeah, he's really looking forward to the weather. I was quite envious, especially this time of year. Very, very depressing. Well, where are you then? UK weather is awful. It's very grey at the moment. Oh, nice. Okay. I've heard good things about Singapore. I have not been to Japan a couple of times. So definitely want to go back to that part of the world. Yeah, same. Tokyo is probably not livable. I mean, I've never tried living there, but yeah, I'm sure, especially accommodation. When I went, I stayed in a few different Airbnbs when it was like people's flats that they were letting out, and they were tiny. They were tiny. Do I consider myself an expat? That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I sort of technically am, but also not. Like, I've been here for so long. I'm a citizen, so technically I'm on paper I'm British. Certainly culturally, I'm kind of. If anyone really pushes me, I'd probably say I'm like British Hungarian or something, because I'm from both cultures, and neither of them is really dominant. So pretty settled in the UK at the moment. I mean, who knows what the future, but no immediate plans. Pretty happy here. As I said, culturally, I've always been drawn to Britain. So, despite the bad weather and questionable politics from time to time, I can't really say I don't feel at home here. So yeah, settled in the UK here. So pretty happy, really. Yeah, weather not permitting, or weather notwithstanding, of course. Rishi Sunak visited your uni. Yeah, well, they yeah, I'm sure that was a big event. They do go abroad from time to time and visit places, don't they? Do you know what he was doing there? Very regal about him. Yeah, it's interesting. I think people have this sort of sense of British people being sort of. Oh, right. Yes. Okay. So I thought you meant when you were in Singapore. Or you did mention you went to uni in London. Yeah. Never mind. But I'm sure he was also in Singapore at some point. Something very regal about him. I quite like that. Yeah, there's sort of something about the accent that feels quite fancy in other countries. I know my friends who learned English in Hungary will have learned mostly from American accents because there's just more resources that sound like that. So it's a big shock when they meet like a British person who doesn't sound like all the learning materials that they had, and and then it's difficult to understand. Oh yeah, yeah. I think Hungary's got better as like the younger generation um has sort of learned English. I think it's more of a thing now for the younger generation to speak English. So like Hungary is much more tourist friendly than when I lived there. Like as a tourist, you're much more likely to be able to navigate around and ask people for directions and have signs in English and things like that than say 20 years ago. But people generally learn English at school. That is generally, but often it's Hungarians teaching them, which might not be the best. Oh, I've got this kind of spam comment as well in there. Oh, excellent. Yeah, the thermal baths are very popular. People love those. But my friend went recently. He used to live there, and he went back to Hungary recently to visit. And he said the thermal baths were overrun with tourists, which is fine because it is a tourist spot. But he said everybody was just on their phone, like taking selfies, taking video calls in the thermal baths. Like just leave that stuff in the locker, you know? Just chill in the water. And my favorite thing about the thermal baths is the old men who sit there all day soaking and playing chess. They've got nothing else to do, and that's pretty cool. Yeah, they are pretty old school, like the buildings and things. But I think it's just inevitable that people will start going in and taking videos. And you had to be topless in the baths? I'm not okay. That might be like a proper old school one. Hey, Ritz Creek. Yeah, no, the thermal baths are nice. Okay. No, I don't think it's typical to have to be topless in those thermal baths. I don't know. Maybe something. Maybe it was like a very traditional one. I don't know, or maybe they lied to you. I don't know. The main one, like the main one that people go to, I'm pretty sure there's no rule for that. Not like in Japan. Like in Japan, in those proper Japanese thermal baths and bathhouses, I mean, people are all naked, but that's not the same in Hungary. Unless there is one like that and I wasn't aware, but I don't know. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah, it's not the same thing. Yeah. Yeah, I did go to one actually. It's very fancy, like as a sort of, it's not a hotel, but as a hotel experience, it's pretty fancy, which is very nice, very traditional. No, it was mixed, but we didn't go into the main area. There was like a private. It wasn't part of the room, but it was like a bit that you could go to that was a bit more private. So it wasn't like the one that was full of people. We didn't go into that one. Oh man, what have I done here? This is not really much better than my last attempt. I feel like no, the one we went to, oh, I can't remember where it was. We have some friends who live out in the, I don't know if it would be classed as the countryside. I guess it is. It's outside a big city. It's like, I think it was northwest of Tokyo. So it wasn't in the big cities. It was like out in the middle. This onsen was in the middle of nowhere. Very, very cool though. I'd love to go back. I mean, I haven't even explored most of it. No, no, I didn't go with British friends. It was just me and my wife. But we just sort of went into the bits that didn't have many people, and then it was all right. But yeah, the main one is it was a little bit a little bit trickier. But I'm sure like. But actually, I just had this mental image of like British stag do's going to Japan and going into the onsens. But I mean, they, knowing what a British stag party would be like, they would go in naked, no problem. They usually terrorize Hungary as well with stag do's because it's still quite cheap compared to the UK. Less so these days, but you know, British stag do's do go around and yeah. But if it's like drunk men on a stag do, they won't have a problem with nudity, right? If anything, it'll be the opposite probably after enough drinks. Okay, right. What if I don't like this idea that we lose a bunch of data if we join on film title and date, but we might be better off. Oh, I think we have duplicates in the film ratings data, probably. Oh man. Okay, this is not gonna be good. Oh, I don't have that. 70 titles, I mean, that's even worse. What sort of thing do you mean? Oh yeah, it's definitely more of a thing in Europe, like in mainland Europe, than it is in the UK. Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I would say in Hungary you'd have more people than in the UK for sure. Yeah, in Asia it's more to it's yeah, it is very interesting. Like being in Japan was very interesting. People are much less sort of outgoing on the street. They're very friendly if you ask them anything, but they always seem a bit worried whenever I ask a question. So there's definitely, yeah, but it's very interesting. I mean, oh, interesting. I mean, you must have seen a different, like a cultural difference between Singapore and the UK. That must be a very interesting. It's very interesting to see the differences. Okay, let's try and get to the bottom of this before I wrap up. There's a problem in that we definitely have duplicates in the book review data. Definitely have duplicates in the film review data. We have 2 films, always have the same rating, so clearly I'm not. Okay. It's interesting. This is okay. I'm starting to suspect this film review data is also is not. This might be the source of my problems. Okay. Yes, so, oh man, okay. So I reckon, oh, okay. This is not good. Oh man, it's always going to be somebody else's data that messes things up. So again, this is going to be the same problem where somebody's compiled this And there's no discussion of where the source is from. Where is this data from? Should have really dug into that a bit more. Okay, this is bad. Because in this, should have checked this first. So source data has multiple versions of the same film, right? These are two different films based on release date. The description is different, but then everything else is the same. So it can't be right, right? It can't be directed. Surely it's not directed by the same. Like, there's no way that's. There will be a disambiguation here. 2005 and 1997. Okay. Yeah, so this is a completely different one from the 2004 one. Yeah, okay. Okay. So this is one problem. Is that when someone compiled this data, at some point, this stuff that they joined on probably did the same thing as me and just joined it on title and ended up with duplicate data for the same film title but different. Okay. Okay. Sorry, what was your question that I missed? So I was distracted by how bad this data is. I mean, I wouldn't say it's that typical. I would say you would see it occasionally on a beach, maybe. But I guess it's not that typical. Yeah, no, I guess it's not that typical. If I think back to Hungary, it's probably not that typical. And people will still be modest on the beach in that respect. But yeah, it's a. Yeah, because it's, I guess you would, because any British friends I had would have been growing up in Hungary, for example. They would have just seen the people around them. And same here, in Britain, right? Not as typical as I think, as you said, in other countries in Europe. Sort of a bit more Mediterranean, a bit more relaxed, where Hungary is, closer to Eastern Europe, so it's a different cultural. And then the British are the British. So I think if you look at the different. Well, there you go. That's that. We should put that on the tourism posters for Britain. Okay. Right. Oh, I've been here an hour now. I need a plan for next. I feel like this is joining things on text title is like a dead end. Definitely need a better film. Yeah, this is kind of annoying. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out what dataset I should use next time, because that one was wrong. Actually, let's do a very quick test of... Oh, I'm not logged in. I'm logged in on the other screen. Hang on. This is a surprisingly tricky question. What's this? Oh, I just want movies. I suppose TV shows. Oh, let's not get into that. That's a whole other problem. Okay, let's try that. Let's do a quick exploration. Explore other film review datasets. I should have just left all the notebooks in and then sequentially told the story and then just had like a master one at the end. Oh well, you live and learn. Okay, PD. Actually, no, let's do, films. Okay. What do I think of that as a Hungarian British dude? Yeah, Hungarian culture is very conservative, as is kind of British culture, really. I don't dictate culture, but like personally, I don't care what people do, like that kind of thing. I wouldn't worry about what other people are up to. Do you know what I mean? You might get, as you said, you might get judgment from other people who are maybe more closely aligned with the culture. I'm embedded in the culture, but I don't feel like I'm enforcing the rules or anything. So people can make their own choice, right? And Hungary especially is not particularly famous for letting people make choices about their bodies. Let's put it that way. It's quite conservative. Not as bad as maybe the US in some ways, as you read sometimes, but yeah. To films. Index. Okay, and then okay, this is more promising. Try this next time it has reviews for different versions of the same film. So we could join on title and date Okay, that's promising. Okay. Right, we'll start with this next time. Well, thanks everyone for joining me. Thanks for the interesting chat. It was very interesting to talk. This is a nice time of day to do it, because nobody in the UK, nobody in the US is joining at this time. Typically, it's people from that your kind of time zone, Singapore, India, that kind of thing. So it's nice to talk to people all around. So thanks for joining me. In terms of this data project, I don't think I got very far because that data was also pretty bad. But we'll give it a go, and hopefully in the next few days give it another go, and get a bit further. This looks a bit more promising. So thanks everyone. See you.